to have something on them that identifies them as a county employee when they go to read meters down in the village. That's one of their requirements. Can you think of anybody in the nursing home that is required to wear a uniform that's not covered by the union contract? Anyway, think about it. We need to come up with a policy as to...
What about Rob?
Rob Harris?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has. Well, yeah, that's a good one. I didn't think of him.
The nurses are all wearing uniform, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The RNs are not in the union contract, so
Oh, okay.
the RNs need to be added.
Bob, he said he wore
Yeah.
he was wearing the pant uniform, but he does have a top.
Anybody else you can think of?
You want Bob Murray put down there?
Yeah, director of maintenance. We'll use positions rather than names.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a mental picture of the people who work for these areas.
A lot of them are in the union contract, so we're really looking at non-union people,
Yeah.
which are probably the supervisors of the union people. So I don't...
None of the supervisory nurses wear a uniform.
Good question to ask Sandy, I
You're
guess.
talking about Becky Mason?
What's that?
Well, any of the,
The director,
Thought we were
director
talking
nurse?
about positions.
well, she doesn't wear a uniform.
No, she doesn't, that's all right.
Yeah.
When she
But I'm
said
thinking more in
supervisor,
terms
I
of-
thought she might have.
Director of nursing?
Yeah, she doesn't wear a uniform.
I've seen her wear it, the previous one. It has like a coat, not a blouse or pants or anything, but some kind of
I
a...
don't know. I hadn't seen it, so
Anyway, all right, we'll look at that for next week.
2 weeks.
Anything else to be brought up this morning that hasn't been brought up that we need to talk about?
Yes, I have a question
Yeah.
about the complaints in the nursing home, the complaint box.
Yeah.
Can the letters come to me so I see what the complaints are?
As long as you
because I actually,
As long as you share them with everybody else, it's
Yeah, of
fine.
course.
the nursing
Because
home
I
is
actually-
my area.
Huh?
The
Yeah.
nursing home is my area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
but still
responsible
the-
for the
Then
sheriff.
I'll take
She's
the letters.
responsible for the nursing
Then
home.
I'll take the
Oh.
letters, not,
yeah, I think, but the letters should be coming by the clerk of the commission because,
But
so I,
secretary of the
Read them
commissioner's
and
office
hear them.
picks them up. As long as we all get
because
the
I
same.
asked for the one from
Doesn't matter.
2011 and you were looking for them and you gave me a couple of 2010 and I still didn't
Okay.
get a one from 2011.
Oh, okay. Did you get that?
Yeah, got it.
Sandy, our minute taker, is resigning her position, and we are looking for a new minute taker to help the clerk of the commission. So if you know of anyone that might be available to do that, we'd rather have somebody outside the county because we don't want to have to pay overtime for somebody within the county. So if you know of anybody, let us know. Or at least let Commissioner Kenny know. And Sandy, we appreciate your service to the county. It's not an easy job. As you know, I mean, a lot of changes in the minutes, and it takes a while to get to know people, and
Well worth
work
it.
with people.
Well
So,
worth it. All right.
so I thank you very much for your
Thank you,
for
I
your service.
appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you for your time, Sandy.
All right, Melissa, are you ready?
I am, thank you very much. had a little computer issue this morning, but the ladies in the business office are very helpful. So everything seems to have worked out just fine. And I want to thank you for the opportunity and putting me on the agenda. Sorry, I guess I should do 3, and then you can pass them along, right? Yes, I do. I have one in my hand for you, Sandy.
I can get it with you. Thank
Oh, you got the population of the jail already.
I did.
Okay. All right, so Melissa's going to talk about the cost of the complex to the town of Ossipee, right?
Yes, that's my intention.
Okay, you have no agenda, it's just sort of a research project that you wanted to take on to see what the cost was.
Correct.
Okay.
And there are some considerations at the end that
Okay.
we can get to, but for the most part, I just wanted to take a look at, like you said, what the impact that Ossipee, that the county has on Ossipee.
Yeah.
When you say that, people will say that Ossipee derives great benefit from the county complex being here, that generally speaking, the county employs mostly people from Ossipee. The inmates are mostly people from Ossipee. The nursing home residents are mostly people from Ossipee. So
Yeah.
when I hear the words mostly or always, then it's time to find out what's going on.
Okay.
And to see if that's true. And that's
Yeah.
just something that I enjoy doing, unfortunately. So I looked at the Carroll County employees, and I must say that all the staff at the county have been extremely helpful in gathering this public information and sending it along to me. So we have 342 employees, and 26% of those are from Ossipee. It's pretty easy to follow along with here. 14% of residents in the nursing home listed Ossipee as their...
14.7.
Sorry, 14.7% of the residents in the nursing home listed Ossipee as their primary residence prior to admission. And then we move over to the jail population, and we see that Ossipee residents accounted for 11.8% of intakes at the House of Corrections last year, from January to December 31st. This probably doesn't come as any surprise to you, but I was very interested to learn that most of the inmates come from either outside of the county or even outside of the state. I was surprised by how high those numbers are.
Yeah.
So, thought
I think that shows that we are a tourist town or tourist county, and a recreation county, and perhaps that adds to the reason why it's so high.
maybe people having a little too much fun. Or and those numbers, obviously, if someone was booked more than once at the jail, they're in there more than once.
Yeah.
Those are just purely the intakes. It's difficult to determine the business benefit. I mean, undoubtedly, the businesses in the area do derive some benefit from the county complex being here.
Yeah. I bought my gas at the local station this morning on Route 16.
But what exactly that number is, it's difficult to tell. And because the business center for Ossipee Corner is on the already well-traveled Route 16,
Right.
it's not that any business depends on the complex to survive. You could argue that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
But it doesn't hurt.
I'm sorry?
It doesn't hurt, though.
No, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
We're not drilling you. We're just...
No, this is great. I welcome questions because there may be other things to look at as well that
Sure.
I hadn't thought of. So then I looked at fire and emergency medical services to start getting into what the county operation cost the town of Ossipee. Last year, and there were more calls, mainly due to the movement of the residents from the old nursing home to the new. That was an indication, that maybe they're, just switching the residents. Fire alarms as the new systems were activated.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things.
But we had quite a few, I think, calls to the old nursing home because of the antiquated system there. I don't know.
Yeah, so perhaps that was part of the spike, but the fire chief told me that typically the average is 75 calls to the complex per year by the Ossipee Corner Fire and Rescue Department. And they're not a volunteer department. All of the fire departments in Ossipee are paid on call with a 2-hour minimum. just talking about 2 people at a minimum. Lots of times you'll see more than 2 arrive, but the average cost per call is to the department is $56 in payroll, and that doesn't take into account equipment, supplies, the vehicles that they use to come over here. And then I talk a little bit about how the ambulance contract for the town is bid on and negotiated, and how the recouped costs are kind of figured into their total, because obviously the ambulance company wants to at least try to break even,
Yeah.
if not make a profit. They're a private company.
Well, they get paid additionally, don't they get paid additionally to what the town contracts with them?
Yes, when they transport people to the hospital from the nursing home, they're able to bill nursing home residents insurance. When they transport people from the jail who are resident inmates,
Yeah, yeah,
they bill the county for that.
yeah.
If an inmate requires transport while they're in the booking process, you know, they arrive with the police, there may be an issue and they need to be taken to the hospital first.
Yeah.
That's a loss for the ambulance company. So I guess that would be the only time that they're not able to recoup any of the cost.
Don't the ambulance company bill the jail for transporting the inmate?
If the inmate is a resident of the jail, but if this is the way it was explained to me. But if they haven't been booked yet, but they're at the jail,
Yeah.
and there's some sort of medical issue, they're not technically under the county.
So they
So
are under the jurisdiction
they're still under
of
the
whatever
police.
department
Right.
brings them in, right?
Right.
Okay.
So those costs are often unable to be recouped. So the town of Ospey has a building permit fee system. It used to be back in the day when the jail was built that if you had $25 check, you could get a building permit in the town of Ospey. Well, then in the mid, say 2004 or 5, they instituted a building permit fee system based on square footage.
Yeah, yeah.
And if the nursing home had been charged the building permit fee, it would have been at least $17,225.
But the county is exempt, right?
Right.
Okay, so
I just did
Can
this
you
as
figure
a
that
point
in
of
there?
information.
Okay.
Just as a point of information, that would, if it was a regular commercial business, that's what
that's,
it would have
I
been
think
for
that's
that
sort of the
project.
iffy.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the same would go for taxes. The total assessed value of the county property is that $23,273,301.
Yeah.
And when you calculate that with the Ospey Corner tax rate, the annual taxes would be $414,264 a year. The county
But
does pay some property taxes in the amount
Yeah.
of $66.49.
Right,
to
and
the
all our
town.
land, our 800 acres are in current
Current
use.
use. So does that account for the current use?
I did that as straight assessed value.
Yeah, you can't do
Total
that.
value. Just
Most
to
of it is
get the
current
number.
use.
Yeah, 800 acres is in current use. But did you check to see, I think our jail is not a taxable property. It's either the jail or nursing home, and I think it's the jail, because I remember back quite a while ago that if inmates were being used in one of the bonds, for example, then that facility wasn't taxed either.
Okay.
But
Used for the purposes of the county.
would you check on that some more?
Sure.
Because I think, I don't know where you'd look.
I mean, you're exempt just because you're a municipality.
Yeah,
But
yeah. But I think we pay on the nursing home.
if the nursing home were private, it would be paying taxes,
Yeah.
for example, but the
Yeah.
jail,
Yeah,
as long as it was county run.
okay.
Are there privately run jails?
Not in New Hampshire.
Not in
No.
New Hampshire anywhere, no. And I'm sure the Department of Revenue could help figure out the answer to your question if I looked into that. The only numbers I wasn't able to get yet, which are still currently being prepared, is the cost of maintaining county farm roads. And that's the number I was really
Yeah.
hoping to have today. The majority of the road is taken up by the county complex. If you look, there's a map on the 3rd page. And it's difficult because it's not in color, but parcel number 16 is county-owned property. And it shows how it runs along the county farm road. There is
Partial number 16.
Yep.
It's right in the middle.
Yeah, right here, this big piece here.
Yeah. You got another 16 there, too. How come?
Where is it?
In that lot that's for
Oh.
sale?
I don't know. This is taken right from the town's tax map.
Huh, okay.
And there's a 15 across the street too. Perhaps it
Now,
changes.
does,
Maybe that's a different map.
okay.
That may be a different map.
Does the town of Ossipee require an entrance and an exit on the road?
I'm not sure.
Because sometimes you can have a cul-de-sac
Mm-hmm.
because the plow trucks and road maintenance need a place to turn around.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether that's legitimate, whereby they need to have an entrance and an exit, two separate ways of.
I remember years ago, conversation here about, I don't know if it was coming from the state or when the jail was being built. I don't remember the exact timeline, but I remember that upgrades needed to be made to County Farm Road to allow for 2 exits off the county complex.
Yeah.
Remember that conversation
Yeah.
years ago, and I'm not sure why it was an issue, but.
Yeah, we
believe
needed to have,
Commissioner
for
Webster
fire
was still here.
purposes and emergency purposes, 2 ways of getting to the nursing home. Yeah, I remember that.
And likely, the residents that live along at the Route 28 end of County
Right.
Farm Road use the Route 28 exit. It's
Yeah,
probably easier
yeah.
for them. So most of the impact on the County Farm Road is agreeably the county complex,
Yeah.
the jail and
What about
the nursing home.
What about the courthouse?
Well, I don't know, because the courthouse is across the street,
Right.
but they still do the transports of the inmates back and forth. Was that how
No,
you
I was
mean?
thinking more in terms of if the county, if you're saying that the most of the traffic is because of the county, it could
Mhm.
also, you have to take into account that a lot of the traffic also will go to the county, to the courthouse.
People use it as a. I'd like to sit out there sometime and watch like the law offices at 16
Yeah,
and 171 when they go to do they go this way or do they go around?
I don't know, but GPS takes all the trailer trucks up the dirt road, and I know at least 2 of them got stuck.
Yeah.
One with the boilers
The
on it,
boiler.
and one, I guess when the old new jail was built, they got stuck
They got
on that
stuck
road.
there too. Yeah. Never completely
Which was an
trust
income
your
to some
GPS.
some wrecker service to pull them out.
Any road that has a crook in it like that, on the GPS, you might want to call ahead and
Yeah.
see if that's the best route to travel.
Very true.
And one other thing that I didn't notice was on the bottom of the second page was the water situation. Currently, Ossipee Corner Fire Station, it's located on Old Route 28. They're on the county water system, and they're charged the quarterly fee plus the usage for all their water uses at the fire station. And as you know, probably that in Ossipee, we have the town of Ossipee, and then we have 3 individual fire precincts. So that cost
Right.
is borne by the residents of
Yeah.
Ossipee Corner, or the taxpayers of Ossipee Corner.
You know, a consideration with the water is that the people down in the village, we have about 40 customers, and if we didn't supply them with water, it would be very costly for individual homes because of the salt pollution from the state salt shed. They tried putting wells in down there, and they ran right into salt water. So I don't, unless they found something down on Brown Ridge Road where they could put a well in and pump it to the residents, right now we're supplying them with water. Yeah.
And they're paying the cost of that.
Right.
The users are
Yep.
supporting that completely.
Say that
Are the
again?
user fees supporting that completely? Okay.
Yeah. They pay so much a quarter, and then they're based on their meter readings as to how much water individual households use. Yeah.
So that was my information gathering.
Yeah, good job.
The considerations that I wanted to talk to you about is whether or not the At least I'm sure that the commissioners can agree that OSPI does incur some costs from the county complex being here. We can agree on at least that I imagine. And then I wondered if the county commissioners are willing to consider ways to perhaps give something, I don't like to use the word in kind, because but I'm kind of stumped for a word to use in that situation. One thing that has been talked about is whether or not the commissioners would consider eliminating billing the OSPI Corner Fire Precinct for their water. Understanding that the meter would still have to be read, but perhaps because they're incurring extra charges,
I think
if there's a way that an agreement could be reached for that, it's about $600 a year.
Yeah. I think we run in maybe a little problem because that's an enterprise budget where outside people pay a fee. It's an enterprise budget, so that the county puts in what water we use into that system too. So I'd have to look at that and think about that some more.
I was talking to one of the representatives who had mentioned that there's a point here at the, I'm not familiar with the water lines and where they run, but there's a point here somewhere on this administration building property, perhaps, where the water comes down from the system and then it goes into the meter system. There's a connection, or there's a point.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned that perhaps some sort of a pump or a hydrant could be put in up here to allow them to fill their trucks before it hits the actual meter system. Or is it all just part of the enterprise fund? And
it's all part of it because the courthouse over there, they have a meter that they use our water. There's a house up the road which is metered, that's on our water. So what happens is we have a meter where the water leaves the complex, goes down to the village, and we know what is being pumped and we know what those two are. So the rest of the water that's used is used here on the complex. Delegation suggested that we ought to have a meter on each building, and we're looking into that now. There's going to be a cost involved. Whether it's really necessary or not, I question. I guess if we want to know exactly what the jail is using for water, that's the only way to do it. But anyway.
what was their motivation for doing that? Do you just
other than knowing what each building uses? I mean, a nursing home, 103 beds with showers, and we've got we have about 50-some inmates that take showers, I'm sure, once a day at the jail. So between those two, that's where the water is used on the complex. But anyway, okay.
The other point that was brought up, it has been brought up for several years at selectmen's meetings at least, is that the Water Village area, which is right up the street from here, none of those residents have access to cable or high-speed internet services, despite the fact that the county complex is probably one of the most technologically connected complexes.
Actually, we were hoping, we were trying to get that for them with the UNH coming in and their system, but given what has happened and what's taking place with regard to UNH coming into the complex, they had to route it a different way.
So that has been done, and it's gone somewhere else now.
That's
gone to Conway.
Went to Conway.
Okay.
But we did try for that. That was very much in our minds.
And that would have helped the
Certainly
people
would
in
have.
the village here.
And you know, if it wasn't for the sheriff's department, we wouldn't have connection that we do have right now. That only happened, maybe 4 years ago or so, that we got high-speed internet through cable.
The residents have been told that at the earliest, if it ever happens, the earliest it will be is 2017 before they'll see cable.
We had the opportunity. I think you need to talk with the delegation to bring in UNH's, which would have made a lot of areas here more available. Yeah.
And if that possibility is now off the table, I know that for example, in Tamworth has Tamworth Wireless, and it's a tower that was built, and people subscribe to it, and it's like an independent service provider. That seems to be working very well. I know they had to move one of their towers over a land issue, but they're connecting and people have access. So I guess my point with that is, I wonder if the commissioners would at least consider, if I were to pursue further, what it would take to bring independent service to the residents of Water Village, and if there could ever be the possibility of, given all the land that the county owns, if it was a suitable site for it, could it be put on county property, or at least the consideration be made?
We have a tower up on the mountain.
Or could space be leased on that tower by
It's possible.
the people of Water Village?
Somebody was looking into that, because Tamworth does have a private system, and somebody, was it one of the Spencers? Somebody brought that up here maybe within the past year about their system and how it was working and whether that could be done here.
Okay.
Or no, maybe it was the town of Eaton, because town of Eaton doesn't have it either.
True.
It could have been the town of Eaton, that I remember. Anyway. Well.
So I just bring you the information, and I just ask if you, I guess for some direction on the next, if you would consider the internet access, if you would consider the water usage being waived, and those seem to be the two things that stuck out as I had conversations with people in the community about the fire chief said if we could just get the water waived, that would be helpful. But I don't know if that's possible.
But we had to take out, I don't remember the figures, but we had to put in a whole new water system down through the village that cost us a lot of dollars that we're still paying on that. And the less customers we have on a system, the more individual customers have to pay.
The residents would have to pick it up anyway. Okay.
It's something that I'm sure we can look at it. Yeah. I went through a list of things after you called me about what it would cost, and you've hit on a lot of them. The inmates you hit on, we have 100 from Ossipee at $110 a day. Did you figure that in?
No, I didn't do the cost. I just did the inmates.
Only on certain items. Yes, we buy gas locally. We provide emergency service for the sheriff's department because they're handy right here. We have open space for the town of Ossipee, about 800 acres. That ought to be valued at something, right?
Do Ossipee residents have access to that open space?
Sure.
Was it
In
open
fact,
for hunting,
we're trying
fishing?
Once we get things level out here, we're going to be putting some nature trails. That would be open to anybody. In fact, I think we had $2,000 that was given to us from an insurance company to provide a trail so that residents from the nursing home as well as staff people could use. Besides, we're good neighbors, right?
Yeah.
I think so. Water to the village, groceries. I'm sure a lot of the employees buy groceries down at the stores. Meals in the area may be hurting. We don't have that many restaurants. Sunnyville is one, and this little small shop out here, Dunkin' Donuts and so forth.
If you include Dunkin' Donuts, there's 5. Yeah.
Black Bear.
We're probably
6.
the third largest employee in the county, outside of the hospitals and the schools.
Third. Third.
Third, yeah.
Governor Wentworth School District, Memorial Hospital, and you, and then Huggins.
Yeah. I think